Today I'm going to be cleaning out the front of the barn where the hay just kind of hangs over on the edge. Starts getting rained on a little bit. I'm not going to completely clean out their inside of the barn because it does help keep them warmer. They eat the hay, and of course they waste a lot of hay, but in return it gives them a nice bedding. When it's really cold, they usually just go into the stalls. Of course, right now they're trying to take me out for some treats. Miss Josie is the queen bee. She thinks she's supposed to get a little bit of everything and take everybody else's treat. Hello. So, using a plastic hay rake is nowhere near as good if your hay is wet. If you use the metal one, it's going to work better with the hay that's wet. It's dry further in on the edges. It does start getting wet, so I like to remove it and I go spread it around in the chicken yard, and then it gives the chickens something to do and scratch around and clean up the area for the goats. We do have a lot of wet, cold, rainy winters, so when the hay falls out to the edges, it gets wet, and I usually just try to keep it cleaned up. I don't compost my hay. My theory on that is it's dehydrated grass, right? It's hay. That there probably is grass seeds and weed seeds all in it. So I don't really want that growing in my garden. So I give it to the chickens, gives them some exercise, and they get to scratch around for bugs. And they seem to really enjoy it. And then after I clean up all the hay right off the top, I come back and sprinkle it with some DE. Sometimes I hit it with some lime just to help with the odor, and if there were any parasites right underneath the surface. That way it keeps the goats healthier, and it helps keep the smell down a little bit from all the waste from the girls, because they hang out in the barn a whole lot more when it's cold. It just helps it to dry out right here where you walk in. Once the hay lays on top of the ground, it kind of stays wet, so it doesn't ever want to dry out. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take this first load to the barnyard, chicken yard area, and I'll see you over there. Okay, so this area has always been a bit of a low spot. If you have animals, chickens, ducks, geese, you know it doesn't take long and everything gets muddy. During the winter time, it's even worse. So I'm just going to dump it right here and let them enjoy it. Now we had a shade cloth up here, and it kept the sun from getting the animals too hot when they were the little ones were little. It was a temporary fix. So I cut the tarp so that it still makes a good rain flap and sun flap to keep it a little bit cooler in there during the summertime. But it was time to take it down. The water would run off in there and flood out the chicken coop. So it was time to get that taken care of and do something more permanent. But for right now, we're just going to spread this old hay and manure around, and the chickens will definitely spread the rest of it for us and enjoy eating insects. Right now they all ran out to the back because I came in, but when they come back this evening, they will definitely have fun spreading all this out for me better. I'm just kind of putting it where I want it, and they will definitely do the rest. So even during the winter time, there's always work to be done on the homestead. I know this isn't probably the best view, but inside the small little chicken yard where we keep them locked up at night, all the water was running from the tarp that we made for a shade cloth and a rain flap. So it gets quite yucky in here. So when it's yucky, we feed them outside, and then they go in the coop at night, and then we shut the door to keep them safe. So same process. I've gotten another wagon load of the hay that is soiled from the barn to dump in here and fill in this hole, and also give the chickens something to do, scratch around and look for insects. Now that we have that finished, we're going to collect eggs. There's usually eggs all over the place. We have a couple of geese eggs down there. Some geese eggs. We have quite a few in here. And we have one trying to work on laying one. And somebody keeps laying one up here. So now I'm fixing to add some fresh hay and some DE underneath the stalls. Excuse me, I go from the barn to the chicken house and clean them all out and put fresh hay and put DE all around to sprinkle it to keep insects and parasites from making my animals sick. It will keep them healthy and keep the parasites away. So today the sun is shining, so I'm just out here taking care of a few little chores. Nothing fancy. Don't need fancy clothes. The animals don't care what you wear. They just need a clean place to sleep. It needs to be dry so that your animals stay healthy. And in this case, using the old hay that is soiled from the big barn, from the goats, makes a great ground coverage for the barnyard so that it gives the chickens and all the other barn animals a lot of exercise, and they can find a lot of insects and free range and help spread it around in the low spots. So again, I don't use the hay that I use for the bedding in my compost bins because I believe the grass seeds are still in the hay and I don't want those weeds in my bed. So to each his own. We all just do things differently. Now if it was leaves or something like that, I would throw it in the compost bin, but with it being hay with the grass seeds and weed seeds in it, I just prefer not to, and I just spread it around the chicken yard and let them have fun scratching it and eating insects. Gives them a lot of good exercise and they seem to enjoy it, and this is what works for us. So farewell, Homestead family, friends, and neighbors from the Cozy Cottage Homestead. So when you forget to wear your gloves, sometimes you will get a blister. Homesteading is hard work, but it is so rewarding to have your own animals and fresh eggs every day. Definitely keeps you healthy and keeps you in shape.